A very good morning to all of you. This is Abhilasha, your political science teacher. Today we are going to discuss our new topic of your chapter development, and your topic name is criticisms of development models. In our earlier classes, we have discussed about the meaning of the development. After that, we will discuss about the challenges of development. What are the major challenges a democratic country or a developing country or a underdeveloped country facing? So today we are going to read and discuss about the criticisms. What are the major criticisms of the development models? Okay. So as you all know, for the in better democracy, in good democracy, critiques are always welcome. So just like that, for the better development models, also critiques are there. Okay, various persons come with their critiques and their opinions. So in this topic also, in the process of development also, various human rights activists, various NGOs, various persons, various judges, lawyers come with the critiques. Okay, so critiques or criticism of development models. Critiques of development have pointed out that the kind of development models which have been adopted in many countries has proved very costly for the developing countries. The financial costs have been enormous, putting many countries into long-term debt. For example, Africa is still suffering from the enormous debts which it ran up by borrowing from the richer countries. The gains in terms of growth have not been commensurate, and poverty and disease continue to plague the continent. Now, as you all know that there are various types of criticisms for development have pointed out in certain development models. Okay, certain development models which have been adopted by many countries uh, in late 1950s, or many of the Asian countries and African countries got their independence. So many countries, as we have also discussed it earlier, they have adopted the developmental models for reducing the poverty, hunger, and various unemployment situations. So they adopted many kind of development models, but that development models proved very costly for these developing countries. How? Because the financial costs which for the developmental models are very high, and it put many countries into long-term debts. Okay, they have to borrow money from the richer countries. For example, in your book, it is given the example of Africa. Okay, Africa is still suffering from the enormous debts which it taken from the richer countries like US or some European countries. It is also suffering. It is still suffering from that debt. Okay, and the gain. Okay, after adopting that development model, the gain in terms of growth have not been commensurate. What is the meaning of commensurate? The whatever the amount or whatever the money they have invested, they didn't get what they invested. Okay, it is not equivalent to the growth. Okay, equivalent to the money. जितनी ग्रोथ होनी चाहिए उतना जितना उन्होंने पैसा लगाया है उतना ग्रोथ उनको नहीं दिखा. ठीक है, पॉवर्टी भी डिक्रीज नहीं हुई, और डिजीज जो है अफ्रीका जो है वहां पे सबसे ज्यादा डिजीज जो है हम देखते हैं कि बहुत ज्यादा फैलती है. तो Africa is one of the country which is still suffering from that debt and disease and poverty. Okay, so what are the some critiques of these development? It is on the basis of the social costs, on the basis of the economic costs, and on the basis of the assessment cost. Okay, assessing development. So the first one is the social cost. Social cost. how the life of persons, how the life of human beings is affecting. Okay, socially लोगों की जो life है वो कैसे development के वजह से उनको damage हो रही है, ठीक है, how they are affecting. So just look at this paragraph. The social cost of development. This model of development has also had high social costs. Okay, a large number of people have been displaced from their homes and localities due to the construction of big dams, industrial activities and mining activities or other projects. Okay, displacement results in loss of livelihood and increases impoverishment. If rural agricultural communities are displaced from their traditional occupations and regions, they end up at the margins of society, swelling the large number of urban and rural poor. Traditional skills acquired over an extended period may be lost. There is also a loss of culture because when people are relocated, they lose a whole way of community life. Such displacement has led to struggles in many countries. Now, this model of development, the social costs of development, has had high social cost, has had high cost in the lives of many human beings. How a large number of human beings has been have been displaced. For example, if any kind of developmental project, a government come with the any kind of development project, for example, big dams, they have to construct a dam for generating electricity. Okay, but for this developmental project, for this construction of dam, or you can say for this industrial activity or mining activity projects, many people have to be displaced, okay, from their places, because for these big projects we have to, government have to displace the persons who are living on that land, the land which is required for the construction of these activities. And displacement, how they resulted in loss of livelihood. Many persons, a large number of people lost their livelihood. Okay, increases impoverishment because they lost their food, shelter, livelihood. So it results in impoverishment, poverty, hunger. Okay, so if rural agricultural communities are displaced from their traditional occupations and regions, they end up at the margins of society, swelling the large number of urban and rural poor. और जो रूरल एग्रीकल्चरल कम्युनिटीज है, ठीक है, रूरल एरियाज में जो फार्मर्स रह रहे हैं या फिर जो ऐसे फिशरमैन है, ठीक है, जितनी भी कम्युनिटीज है उनको उनके ट्रेडिशनल ऑक्यूपेशन से जब हम डिस्प्लेस करते हैं तो वो सोसाइटी में क्या है, सोशली एक्सेप्टेड नॉर्म, सोसाइटी को बहुत इजीली एक्सेप्ट नहीं करते हैं. ओके, स्वेलिंग द लार्ज नंबर ऑफ अर्बन एंड रूरल पुअर. ओके, अब ऑब्वियसली रूरल एरियाज में उनकी जो लाइवलीहुड है वो क्या हो चुकी है, लॉस हो चुकी थी. दे हैव टू शिफ्ट टू द अर्बन एरिया, राइट. सो स्वेलिंग द लार्ज नंबर ऑफ अर्बन एंड रूरल पुअर, इट मीन्स जो अर्बन एरिया है वहां पे जो लोग हैं वो क्या कर रहे हैं, उनको अपनी लाइवलीहुड के लिए रूरल अर्बन एरिया में शिफ्ट होना पड़ रहा है. ट्रेडिशनल स्किल्स, अब कुछ स्किल्स होती है, अब जो ट्रेडिशनली आप रूरल एरिया में हो, अपनी कम्युनिटी में हो, तभी क्या है एग्जिस्टेंस में रहती है. अर्बन सेंटर्स में, अर्बन एरियाज में उनकी रिक्वायरमेंट कम होती है, ठीक है, लोग इजीली उन्हें एक्सेप्ट नहीं करते उनके ट्रेडिशनल स्किल्स को. तो धीरे धीरे क्या करने लगते हैं लोग, उन ट्रेडिशनल चीजों को अडॉप्ट नहीं करते हैं. आपको एक एग्जाम्पल देती हूँ. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, वी आर लिविंग इन बीकानेर, ओके, एंड वी सेलिब्रेट गणगौर हियर, राइट. बट इफ एक रीजनल कम्युनिटी है, इफ वी हैव टू शिफ्ट फ्रॉम दिस प्लेस, ठीक है, और गणगौर की जो आप बोलते हो कि गणगौर की जो स्टैच्यू आता है, गणगौर माता के नाम से हम बोलते हैं कि वो हम उनको सेलिब्रेट करते हैं आफ्टर होली, तो उस टाइम पे यहाँ पे जो वर्कर्स हैं उनको गणगौर माता के स्टैच्यू के लिए क्या है, उनका एक वे ऑफ लाइवलीहुड है। बट व्हेन वी हैव टू डिस्प्लेस, ठीक है, अगर हम डिस्प्लेस हो जाएंगे, वो लोग डिस्प्लेस हो जाएंगे, अर्बन सेंटर्स में चले जाएंगे, तो लोग क्या हो जाएंगे, ऐसा तो जरूरी नहीं है ना, तो वो कि वो एक ही अर्बन सेंटर में जाए, एक ही अर्बन एरिया में जाए। हो सकता है कुछ लोग वेस्ट की साइड जाए, कुछ साउथ की साइड जाए, कुछ सेंट्रल इंडिया में चले जाए, कुछ ईस्ट इंडिया में चले जाए। तो लोग क्या हो गए हैं, लोग डिवाइड हो गए हैं, सेग्रीगेट हो गए हैं, ठीक है। तो यहाँ पे जो ट्रेडिशनल स्किल थी, एक जो ये कारपेंटर था जिसको वो स्टैच्यू बनाना था, गणगौर माता का स्टैच्यू बनाने का, उसका जो स्किल है वो धीरे धीरे कम होता गया, क्योंकि अब लोगों को, अब वो अर्बन सेंटर में शिफ्ट हो गया और लोगों को उसकी इतनी रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है, बहुत ही लिमिटेड नंबर ऑफ पीपल उसकी डिमांड करेंगे। तो धीरे धीरे क्या होगा, ट्रेडिशनल स्किल्स भी लोगों की धीरे धीरे खत्म होती जाती है। तो इससे कल्चर भी खत्म होता है। देयर इज ऑल्सो अ लॉस ऑफ कल्चर, बिकॉज व्हेन पीपल आर relocated they lost a whole way of community life here। कम्युनिटी लाइफ उनकी क्या होती है, खत्म हो जाती है। एंड बहुत सारी कंट्रीज को इस टाइप के स्ट्रगल्स को क्या करना पड़ता है, देखना पड़ता है। नाउ displaced people have not always accepted their fate passively। You may have heard about the Narmada Bachao Andolan, which has been leading a movement against the Sardar Sarovar Dam on the river Narmada for many years। The supporters of this big dam claim that it will generate electricity, help irrigate large areas of land, and also provide drinking water to the desert areas of Kutch and Shastra. The opponents of the dam dispute these claims. They claim that almost 1 million people have been displaced. They have lost their lands through submergence or construction and consequently lost their livelihoods. Most of these people belong to the tribal and Dalit communities who constitute some of the most underprivileged groups in the country. Some even argue that the dams would greatly upset the ecological balance, submerging large tracts of forest. Okay? So, as I already told you, that displaced people have not been easily accepted in the society, who live outside society. Okay, for example, if someone from the tribal community of Maharashtra came to Madhya Pradesh, in Rajasthan, okay, we will not easily accept them because they are very much different from us. Okay, so it happens कि आप because हम, अगर आपकी क्लास में भी क्या होता है, कोई एक डिफरेंट सा पर्सन आता है, ठीक है, हाँ, आप उसे इजीली एक्सेप्ट नहीं करते हो, धीरे धीरे एक्सेप्ट करते हो, उसको बहुत टाइम लगता है एक्सेप्टेंस में, उसको भी और हमें भी। तो जस्ट लाइक दैट, जब डिस्प्लेस होते हैं लोग, तो उसको सोसाइटी में जो है नॉर्मली एक्सेप्ट नहीं किया जाता है, वो इजीली सोशली जो है एक्सेप्टेंस, सोशल जो नॉर्म्स है उसमें उसको एक जगह नहीं मिल पाती है। ठीक है, सो एक एग्जाम्पल है इसका नर्मदा बचाओ आंदोलन। ठीक है, एंड इट स्टार्टेड इन द ईयर 1985, अप्रोक्सीमेटली 35 ईयर्स हो गए हैं। और किसके लिए था? सरदार सरोवर डैम के लिए था। ठीक है, नर्मदा रिवर में सरदार सरोवर डैम बनाने के लिए ये मूवमेंट स्टार्ट किया गया था। एंड द सपोर्टर्स ऑफ दिस बिग डैम क्लेम, whoever the supporter of this dam, Sardar Sarovar Dam, for the construction of Sardar Sarovar Dam, they were claiming that if this dam built, it will generate electricity. Okay, hydel power electricity, as you all know, it will generate electricity. It helps in irrigate large areas of land and also provide drinking water to the desert areas. As you all know, Narmada generate from the Madhya Pradesh and flow towards west and enters some parts of Gujarat and Maharashtra. So they were claiming if this dam will build, it will also provide drinking water to the desert areas of Kutch and Shastra. Okay, as you all know, Kutch and Shastra are the desert areas. So they were claiming these types of things. They were promising these things to the people, but the opponents, the human rights activist, the you can say environmentalist, the poor people, the tribal people, the fishermen, etc., who were living there, they were not supported this. Okay, they were claiming that almost 1 million people have been displaced. If this dam will build, it will displace 10 million people, which is equivalent to 10 lakh people. ओके, तो 10 लाख जो पीपल है डिस्प्लेस्ड हो जाएंगे इसकी वजह से. मेनी ऑफ देम लॉस देयर लैंड्स. ठीक है, उनकी लैंड चली जाएगी, कंस्ट्रक्शन के लिए जो भी लैंड चाहिए होगा, एग्रीकल्चरल लैंड चली जाएगी. बहुत लोगों की जो लिविंग लाइवलीहुड है, ठीक है, फिशरमैन वगैरह जो वहां रहते थे और उनका लाइवलीहुड क्या था, नर्मदा ही था. दे वर अपोजिंग दिस डैम. ओके, and environmentalists and mostly the tribal and Dalit communities were living there. ठीक है, and as you all know, they were the most underprivileged and groups in our country. So some of the environmentalists also argued that if this dam will build, it would greatly upset the ecological balance. Okay, the ecological balance will be upset by building this big dam. So many of you have seen the both sides. Okay, both sides of the coin. One were the supporters of this dam, and were the opponents of these dam, and both are like, अगर हम देखते हैं तो both are like okay कि it will supporters के according it will develop our country, it will help so much in the developing country, it will so much help in developing our country. Okay, and opponent side देखते हैं तो उसमें भी हमें दिखता है कि yes, अगर ये सब होगा तो बहुत लोग डिस्प्लेस हो जाएंगे, बहुत सारा डैमेज हो जाएगा. ओके, so this was the social cost, and the Narmada Bachao आंदोलन was one of the example of it, जिसके लिए लोगों ने क्या किया, oppose भी किया था. Okay, this is the social cost. Now our next our next type of development is environmental costs of development. Okay, so development has environmental costs of development. Development has indeed caused a high degree of environmental degradation, as you all are very much aware about this term, environmental degradation. So environmental degradation, it is the deterioration of the environment through depletion of resources such as air, water and soil, and destruction of wildlife also, natural habitat also. All these comes under environmental degradation. So first of all, development has indeed caused a high degree of environmental degradation. With development, we also caused a high degree of environmental degradation. Okay, we have seen in many countries that with development they has indeed caused a high degree of environmental degradation, and not just the displaced people, but all the population is beginning to feel the consequences. Okay, we are not only the displaced people, but the population all over the surrounding the areas were also started feeling the consequences of that environmental degradation. Okay, for example, there is a construction of dam. Okay, we are building the dam, but it also with this construction activities, many people who are living surrounding that area will suffer from like pollution. Okay, so many population, all the population surrounding that area is beginning to feel the consequences. When the tsunami hit the South and Southeast Asian coasts in 2004, it was observed that the destruction of mangroves and the building of commercial enterprises along the shoreline was the reason for the greater extent of the damage caused. Okay, in 2004, tsunami hits the South and Southeast Asian countries. Okay, when Southeast and Southeast Asian coasts, so at that time along with the shore line, ठीक है, शोर लाइन के साथ साथ में मैंग्रोव्स जो फॉरेस्ट है उनके साथ साथ में मैंग्रोव फॉरेस्ट नॉर्मली हम कोस्टल एरियाज में ही हमें देखने को मिलता है, उसका बहुत ज्यादा डैमेज हुआ था. You must have read about global warming. You all are very much aware about this term also, global warming. Okay, the ice in the Arctic and Antarctic is melting because of increased emission of greenhouse gases. ठीक है, due to the due to the use of many such devices which causes the harmful, which releases the harmful gases and which cause the greenhouse gases, it is melting the ice of the Arctic and Arctic areas and the Antarctic areas, the pole areas, and it is going to affect our atmosphere also. Okay, and this has the potential to cause floods and actually submerge low-lying areas like Bangladesh and Maldives. Okay, so जो low lying areas है, बांग्लादेश हो गए, मालदीव्स हो गए, जो small आपके countries हैं जो normally ओशियन के सॉरी समुद्र के पास में है, ठीक है, सी के ऊपर है, सी के पास में है, ये फ्लड्स के वजह से क्या है, सबमर्ज मतलब डूब भी सकती है. ठीक है, उनके अंदर इन फ्लड्स में इतना पोटेंशियल होता है. एंड आपने बहुत सारे, एक एग्जाम्पल आपने देखा ही है 2013 में जब उत्तराखंड में फ्लड आया था. ठीक है, बहुत बड़ा उस टाइम पे इकोलॉजिकल डैमेज हुआ था, पॉपुलेशन का बहुत ज्यादा डैमेज हुआ था. आप सबने वो एग्जाम्पल वो आप देखते हो. एंड व्हाई इट हैपेंस, ठीक है, ये एक एग्जाम्पल है कि इन द नेम ऑफ डेवलपमेंट हमने वहां पे डेवलपमेंट तो करवा दिया, ठीक है, गवर्नमेंट ने करवा दिया, लोगों ने वहां पे डेवलपमेंट तो कर दी, बट वहां उस नदी का, जो नदी वहां से बहती है, उसका जो बहाव है, रास्ता है, उसको हमने चेंज कर दिया. एंड नेचर ने हमें अपने आप उसका रिजल्ट दे दिया इन द नेम ऑफ फ्लड. ओके, जिससे कि काफी डिस्ट्रक्शन हुआ, डैमेज हुआ. ठीक है, तो इन्वायरमेंटल कॉस्ट जो है डेवलपमेंट की वजह से हमें काफी देखने को मिलता है. नेक्स्ट देखिए, इन द लॉन्ग टर्म द इकोलॉजिकल क्राइसिस विल एडवर्सली अफेक्ट ऑल ऑफ अस. Air pollution is already a problem which does not discriminate between the rich and the poor. You are also already seeing this. And the Delhi का एरिया तो आप देख ही रहे हो कितना ज्यादा हम एयर पोल्यूशन वहां पे सीवियर इफेक्ट देख रहे हैं. इवन हेयर ऑल्सो वी आर सीइंग. ठीक है, तो लॉन्ग टर्म में भी इकोलॉजिकल क्राइसिस जो है हमारे इन्वायरमेंट को बहुत ज्यादा अफेक्ट करती है. बट इन द शॉर्ट रन इनडिस्क्रिमिनेट यूज ऑफ रिसोर्सेज टेंड्स टू एडवर्सली अफेक्ट द अंडर प्रिविलेज मोर शार्पली. अगर शॉर्ट टर्म में देखते हैं तो जो अंडर प्रिविलेज क्लासेस हैं, अंडर प्रिविलेज पीपल है, वो बहुत ज्यादा इफेक्ट होते हैं. Loss of forest affects the poor who use forest resources for a variety of subsistence needs like firewood, medicinal herbs और food. Drying up of river, देखिए जो फॉरेस्ट में रहते हैं या फिर जो डिपेंडेंट हैं फॉरेस्ट रिसोर्सेज पे, ठीक है, अगर हम डेवलपमेंट के लिए उन फॉरेस्ट को डिफॉरेस्टेशन हो जाएगा तो हमें ये सारे जो प्रोडक्ट्स हैं, ये सारे जो रिसोर्सेज हैं, उन लोगों को अवेलेबल नहीं हो पाएगी. Drying up of rivers and ponds and falling groundwater level means that women have to walk longer in order to procure water. Okay, अब normally अगर rivers सूख जाएगी, आपके ponds सूख जाएंगे, ग्राउंड वाटर लेवल नहीं रहेगा, डिक्रीज होने लग जाएगा, तो we have to go जैसे नॉर्मली राजस्थान के एरिया में देखने को मिलता है कि बहुत दूर से पानी को प्रोक्योर करना पड़ता है, हमें लेके आना पड़ता है। तो जस्ट लाइक दैट कि अगर हमारे जो आसपास का एरिया है, जो पॉन्ड्स हैं, रिवर्स हैं, हम अगर वो ड्राई होने लग जाएंगी तो हमें पानी बहुत दूर से लेकर आना पड़ेगा और हमें फ्रेश वाटर ज़्यादा नहीं मिल पाएगा. So the model of development we are pursuing is heavily dependent on the increasing use of energy. Most of the energy currently generated in the world is from non-renewable sources like coal or petroleum. Large tracts of Amazon rainforest are being deforested in order to provide for the increased consumer needs. Are there enough of these non-renewable resources which can allow not only the advanced countries but also all people in the world to enjoy an affluent lifestyle? Given the finite nature of these resources, the answer would be no. What about the future generation? Are we going to hand over a depleted earth and multiple problems to them? Now just look at this, जो development models हैं which we are pursuing, and we are for that developmental models we are heavily dependent on the increasing use of energy, and in present time we are using most of our energy from the non-renewable resources, okay, and non-renewable resources like coal or petroleum, okay. So it also causes the depletion of resources, and it also causes the deterioration of the environment, okay. And the large tracts of Amazon rainforest, okay, Amazon rainforest which is situated in Brazil, it is being deforested for the for the for our needs, for the consumer needs. So the question, some of the questions arises. You have to think about these questions also. Are there enough of these non-renewable resources which can allow not only the advanced countries but all people in the world to enjoy an affluent lifestyle? क्या हमारे पास सफिशिएंट नॉन रिन्यूएबल रिसोर्सेज हैं कि वर्ल्ड में जितनी भी पॉपुलेशन है उसको बहुत इजीली और एक हेल्दी एक एफ्यूलेंट, ठीक है, स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड लाइफस्टाइल के साथ रह सकती है और उसको यूज कर सकती है? क्या हमारे पास जो रिसोर्सेज हैं, जो गिवन द फाइनाइट नेचर ऑफ दीज रिसोर्सेज, द आंसर वुड बी नो. वी हैव finite nature, we have limited natural resources, so we have to use them very carefully. So and it also not going it also lead to the destruction of the future generation also, okay. So we are going to hand over a depleted earth if we are using these resources the way we are using it, okay. So these were some of the problems which arises due to the developmental models, okay. These were some of the environment, these were some of the problems or environmental costs of developmental models, okay. So class, this is all about today. Thank you for joining the class. In our next class we are going to discuss about the assessing development, and this paragraph Ken Saroviva, you please read this paragraph on your own. This will be your homework, and thank you so much.